Yo, this is SoDrum86 bringing you another video. So one of the things that I've been hearing a lot of channels are starting to cover it more and more. A lot of people are starting to see that WWE is changing. Now, I've seen this for a while now. I know a lot of you guys have seen this for a while now. But, you know, a lot of people are starting to talk about the issue with their deal with TKO and how they have literally sold out. You know, I told my brother the debut of Raw on Netflix, I said, we just literally saw a company sell out in real time. All of the sponsorships all over the ring. It's an eyesore. I mean, it literally is disgusting. From when I started watching wrestling, I thought I would never see a wrestling ring look like a boxing ring or a UFC ring. I think that looks tacky, even for those sports. I never liked the idea of having all of these different logos plastered everywhere over the mat. And now you even got them on the turnbuckles for WWE events. It's terrible. It just looks awful. But this is what they're all about now. But it's not what we're here to talk about. For months now, I think since last year, there's been this whole, you know, the tribalism, AEW versus WWE. There's a lot of people, you know, WWE is so much better than AEW, all of this stuff. And look, I used to love AEW when they first started. It is pretty bad now. However, I will say that there is still more there that I appreciate. Their PLEs have more matches, or pay-per-view. They actually have pay-per-views, but their pay-per-views have more matches. It's usually 8. Their bigger ones will have maybe like 10. Like, I remember one time he did like 11. I remember TK did 11, and I can't remember which pay-per-view it was because I had already stopped buying them at this point. But more matches, even on the weekly shows, more matches. There's more comedic moments. There's more characters, even though they still suffer what a lot of wrestling companies suffer from, is everybody just being a regular man or woman in tights doing a bunch of moves. They still suffer from that, but it does feel like AEW, from what I see, it is a little bit more entertaining. People like Harley Cameron, Tony Storm, of course, Timeless Tony Storm is killing it. I just see more things on that show when I do tune in, because I will turn to AEW sometimes and I'll watch their clips, and I'm more entertained by what they're doing. It's still not great. It's still not what it used to be, but for what I get from what I want out of wrestling, I see more of with them. Matches are still, could be better. And I'm talking about just wrestling in general. Matches can be better. But I just wanted to throw that out there because there's a lot of people that I watch, you know, big YouTubers, podcasters, and every time they review Dynamite or something like that, it's always, this show sucks, this is horrible, this is this. But then when they review a Monday Night Raw or whatever, it's a decent show or a good show. And now, finally, people are starting to talk about how bad both shows are, SmackDown and Raw, and people really aren't even paying attention to NXT at all anyway nowadays. So it is what it is. And I'm listening, and they're saying good things. You know, they're talking, the things that they're bringing up, their concerns, their problems, their issues with the show. Everything is correct. The lack of story, the laziness in the story. The only thing that they seem to compliment is the wrestling, and we're going to get into that. But this is stuff that I've been saying for a long time, even before I started to really go into just doing like a lot of wrestling content. I used to talk about this stuff when I had a good mix of like other different things on my channel. This has been a problem with wrestling for a long time. But the thing is that a lot of fans will take a good storyline that is happening, and they will take that one good storyline and paint it as the whole company is doing great, like the Bloodline storyline and everything that was leading up to WrestleMania 41. It was like that Bloodline thing was cool with Roman Reigns and Cody and all of that stuff, and even everything before. That was cool, but just because you had that one good storyline going, it still didn't mean that wrestling as a whole was good. It didn't mean that WWE was in good shape. They had one solid storyline going. I remember the days when they had multiple storylines that you wanted to see. I remember the days where mid-carders that were wrestling for no title was entertaining, just as entertaining, and you anticipated the match at the pay-per-view as if it was any other match on a pay-per-view. Maybe the championship match, of course, would be the most anticipated, but the other match, gosh, look at WrestleMania 10, right? I mean, WrestleMania 10, you got two matches on that card that weren't the main event that killed it. I mean, it was more than just two matches that were good, but I'm just saying the very first match with Bret Hart and Owen Hart killed it. Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels ladder match killed it. And the first match had nothing to do with a title. It was brother against brother. Nothing to do with a title. Ended up being one of the best opening matches of any WrestleMania, arguably. People are still saying that today. I'm going to tell you what the problem is with wrestling, and I've said it on this channel a lot, and you guys that have been here with me for a while have heard me say it, but it warrants me to just kind of focus on that again and bring up these points, because everything that people are talking about now, like I said, I've been talking about for some time now. A big issue with pro wrestling is you don't have any characters anymore. There's a severe lack of characters. There's a severe lack of gimmicks. Yes, were some of the gimmicks in the 90s hokey and you know, kind of corny? Yeah, but that was all about the charm. That was a part of what made wrestling wrestling. It was cool to me. It was cool to see Doink the Clown. He was awesome, especially when he debuted as a heel and he was kind of scary. Like, you need this type of stuff in wrestling. You may not have to repeat what was done before. Come up with some new things. But when you just see men and women out there doing a bunch of moves, not telling a story in the ring, there's no ring psychology, there's barely any selling. And when they do sell, they sell for about 2 seconds before they do something ridiculous after just being dropped on their back. And it's like, wait, how did you just pop up out of nowhere and then do a somersault outside of the ring just randomly? You can do all the moves in the world, but if the match doesn't make sense, then it makes what you just did pointless. The whole point of a wrestling match is to see a story play out in that wrestling match. When is the last time we've seen a heel take control of a match and they get the majority of the offense and the babyface is trying to come back? They find openings where they'll start to kind of get back into it, but then the heel will find a way to cheat, or they'll find a way to kind of stunt their momentum, and then they're right back and the momentum swings right back to them. And then towards the end of the match, the crowd is, because this is how you get the crowd behind the baby face. This is a lot of fans don't remember or realize this. A good way to get the fans behind a baby face, you got to have them be the underdog in the match. You can't have it be 50-50. You can't have matches play out like a video game. You cannot have matches play out like a video game. That is you can sometimes do that if you wanted to change things up, because not every match should be the same anyway. But when you have every match these days where it's just a back and forth, literally you do your moves and I'm going to do my moves, you don't really have an opportunity to get the fans behind somebody. You don't, because there's no real flow to the match other than just a big spot after big spot after big spot after big spot. And you wonder why these girls and these guys are getting hurt, and hurt for a very long time. It's because they're really not truly wrestling. They're not wrestling anymore. These are the issues with wrestling right now. Without character, how do you get behind somebody? This is why the crowd is either dead or they cheer for both people. Let's go Cody, AJ Styles. You hear this in every single match, or it's just dull. If a casual is just randomly turning to wrestling, they won't really know who the babyface or the heel is. These are the issues with wrestling. This is what has been happening with wrestling for a long time. The storylines do suck. There's no effort put into the storylines. The storylines are pretty much all the same. Back in the Attitude Era and even before the Attitude Era, storylines would come from different angles. It wasn't necessarily just about wrestling, if that makes any sense. There was always something else and something a little bit deeper that created the story, because wrestling kind of played out like it was a regular TV show that you would watch. There would be, for example, I brought this up before, I think, because I reviewed the pay-per-view where all of this stuff, kind of happened. But Val Venus and his storyline with it was the Asian group, and I can't remember their name now. It was the Asian stable, Takanishi. I'm probably butchering his name, but it was that whole thing of where Val Venus slept with his wife, and then that created that storyline. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's stuff like that. Like wrestling, you can still do stories like that. That is part of what had the charm in the Attitude Era. It wasn't just about like, I want to beat you to show you that I'm the best, or I need this title and da da da. No, you can have the storylines can revolve around other things. The storylines need to revolve around other things. This is ridiculous. And I think it was Brutus the Barber Beefcake or Al Snow. He pointed it out that a lot of stories would kind of happen and develop through the matches that they would have. So it wasn't just solely on promos, and it wasn't just about having a brawl and then a promo and then next week a brawl and then a promo. A lot of the storylines and things and how storylines kicked off, it was through matches. It was the way certain things would play out. Somebody would do something and everything was different on the show. If you watch a Monday Night Raw from back in the day, you will see so many different things happen throughout the night. Now, if you see John Cena get RKO'd in the opening segment of a show, you won't see him or Randy Orton the rest of the show. And it's always like that. It's always like that. Back in the day, you would never see that. Somebody got beat up or something happened to somebody, best believe that after the next match or after the next segment, they're going back to that person who was laid out, and you see them looking for revenge or even getting revenge. They're walking through the backstage area looking for whoever did what to who. Do you see that now in wrestling? No. One segment, move it along. One segment, move it along. These two people get their segment. This team gets their segment. Move it along. You need character, because that's how you get people attached, is character. It's like any other show that you watch on TV. The reason why we like certain TV shows, I bring this up in a lot of my videos. The reason why we like certain TV shows and certain movies is because we gravitate to certain characters, and then we grow to hate other characters. There's characters that you want to see die on some of these things, like depending on what you're watching. There's certain characters where you want justice, you want them to get their revenge, or you want this person to stop this person from doing this bad thing. It doesn't matter if you're watching a drama, doesn't matter if you're watching a CSI kind of show, something like FBI. It doesn't matter what you're watching. You gravitate to certain characters, because I can tell you this: if you turn to a TV show and nothing is appealing about it character wise, you're not tuning into that show. You're not giving it another minute if you can't gravitate to the people that are on camera trying to portray characters. The minute that you take characters and gimmicks away from wrestling, and then it just becomes about the acrobatics, I can't even really say the athletics, because wrestlers were probably more athletic back then because of the stuff that they did. Every time people talk about new athletes today, they do the same thing with basketball. They always talk about people being bigger, stronger, and faster and all of this other stuff. It's like, but they lack the skill and the fundamentals. They lack the creativity. You saw more creativity in basketball before. People had all of these signature moves that they could go to if they were in a jam. And it was the same thing with wrestling. You think Shawn Michaels wasn't athletic? You think Mr. Perfect wasn't athletic? You think Bret Hart wasn't athletic? The people that I'm naming right now are some of the most athletic wrestlers in WWF history, in wrestling history, period. They could do anything that they wanted to, but they knew how to work a match. It wasn't just about, hey, you get on the top rope and you do this backflip. As soon as I do this backflip and I land on you, I need you to pop right back up. And I'm going to need you to give me a power bomb. Then I'm going to get right back up. And then you throw me to the outside of the ring and throw me on the commentator's table. I'm only going to sell for about 5 seconds. And then we're both going to get back up and run into the ring. And then, no, they didn't do it like that. That doesn't make for a good wrestling match. It's an adrenaline rush. It's an adrenaline rush. Yeah. But it's not entertaining. At least to me, it's not entertaining. That's not what I want out of a wrestling match. I want it to actually simulate a fight. I want it to look like these dudes and these women are trying to really hurt each other. Not where you can literally see them counting steps like it's a dance. Like, you know, when people can naturally dance and they learn a routine and they do it so smooth, you can like see that they're just kind of moving with the beat. But then you see the other people who really aren't that great at dancing. You could just kind of, even though they're doing the moves good, the dance moves good, you could just see that there's something off. Like they're counting their steps. You can see them remembering what they got to do next. That's all I see with wrestling now. The one thing that irritates the hell out of me the most, and I watched the clip, it was an NXT match. It was two women fighting. I can't remember who they were. They do these weird spots where like woman A will knock woman B down, and then she's getting ready to go to the ropes. And so to wait for the woman to get up, you know, just to kind of sit up, they do this thing where they start to run in place. They're literally like kind of jogging in place. And then as soon as the woman gets up, then they run to the ropes and then to do their move. That looks so hokey. Way too many times we see people body slammed out of position. And so the person on the ground, you see them scooting in position to get ready for the next move. Let me tell you this, man. If you go back and watch damn near every Macho Man fight, when Macho Man got you in position for the elbow, I can't remember a time where a wrestler had to move to get in position. He always made sure they were in position to take the elbow. People are talking about wrestling now, and they're talking about all of the things that I used to bring up. This has been a problem. The lack of storylines, intriguing storylines has been a problem. But the thing is that because they'll always have about one, maybe two good storylines going at once, it's like everybody paints it as everything is great. No. Yeah, the bloodline thing was good, but everything else was horrible. Everything else was boring. It just is what it is. There are certain things, there's certain fundamentals that should have never changed with wrestling. You need the fundamentals, man. It's just like basketball. I bring up basketball a lot because basketball and wrestling were two of the things that I love the most. And they both, right now, are kind of mirroring each other when you think about it. Big stars don't wrestle every week. Champions, you might see them if you go to a show. They might be in a suit cutting a promo. They barely ever wrestle. Back in the Attitude Era and before, when Stone Cold was champ, when The Rock was champ, Triple H was champ, you saw those guys wrestle damn near every week. And if they didn't wrestle, they were a part of something that was significant where you saw them more than once on a show. I have been to a Monday Night Raw, several, but I've been to a Monday Night Raw in the Attitude Era where Stone Cold didn't wrestle, but he was there and he was even in the ring fighting. He was in backstage segments. This was all in one night. And you correlate that to basketball now where the stars don't want to play. Healthy in their 20s or early 30s, and they want to sit out and they're not even injured. Yet people paid all this money to go to a show to see them. And it's the same thing with wrestling. Look at the ticket prices with wrestling. and you're not going to put your biggest stars on every single week, that's a problem. They're mirroring each other. Big guys don't play big in the NBA anymore. They shoot threes. Guys that are as big as Shaq was at the 3-point line. It's ridiculous. Now, is it cool if a big guy can shoot a three every once in a while? Absolutely. Yao Ming could shoot a three, but he didn't live beyond the 3-point line. He still played in the paint. Kane and Undertaker, very athletic. They could do a lot of things in the ring, but they still fought big. Kane still made sure he was imposing. He was intimidating to stand up to. Same thing with The Undertaker. They were scary. They were menacing. Even though they could do the big moves and stuff and jump off the top rope, they still made sure the majority of their matches they wrestled big. You look at Damian Priest. Damian Priest is huge, but Damian Priest likes to do stuff as if he's Dominic Mysterio. It's cool if you want to do some of these acrobatic stuff every once in a while, where he looks like he's almost about to get hurt sometimes. Everybody wants to talk about wrestling being struggling now, being bad now. I've been talking about this stuff, but people seem to forget what made wrestling good in the first place. I think that's what gets to me the most, is that people that are my age that are doing these podcasts, they might be a little older than I am, doing these podcasts and talking about wrestling and almost being puzzled as to why it is the way that it is now. How are you confused by this? You know what made wrestling good. You were watching when I was watching. Look at what it was then and look at what it is now. There's no characters. There's nobody to get behind. All of the matches mirror each other. You see a Tope Cena in match 1, you're going to see it in match 2, match 3, match 4, match 5. Trading blows. You're going to see that match 1, match 2, match 3, match 4, match 5. They're doing the same things. Stand outside and wait for me to get up and to the top rope and do a moonsault on like 5 different people. We're going to see that every single week. Every single week. And you wonder why the ratings are what they are. The ratings don't lie. Just because WWE comes out and they talk about, oh, we sold so much and we're making so much money now. Yeah, because you're charging so much money now. What I would love to hear them brag and tote about is look at how many views you're getting. You can barely hit a 2.9. You started out at almost 6 million, which is still bad, considering that Netflix is global. But Monday Night Raw on Netflix started out 5.9 million. They're now in the 2 point whatevers. They're struggling. They're struggling. And now people are starting to say things. Now people are wanting to talk. This type of stuff should have been talked about a long time ago. Now, there are a group of YouTubers that have been talking like this for a long time. I try to refrain from making videos like this too much because I know that there's still a lot of wrestling fans that love wrestling today. And look, again, like I always say, to each his own. But I'm talking about for the people who are starting to see the problems and starting to say like, oh, I wonder what's happening with Triple H. No, Triple H has never been good, man. He's never been good at this. Triple H, he benefited from having Dusty Rhodes. Before Dusty Rhodes passed, he was helping him with NXT. He benefited from William Regal helping him with NXT. He benefited from Shawn Michaels helping him in NXT. He also benefited from a smaller roster. Your boy don't know what to do with a big roster. This dude is still doing 5-match PLEs. Come on, man. That doesn't work for the main roster, dude. You got to get as many people on these shows as possible. I'm not saying that you got to do 16 matches. That's ridiculous. But come on, dude. Every PLE should have at least 7 to 8 matches tops. That's it. 7 to 8 matches tops. Now, I can't fully blame Triple H for all of this because TKO is the biggest culprit. TKO is turning this just into a cash cow. It's all about the money. Which leads me to my last point before I end this video. Because TKO is so money driven, because everything is about the money now when it comes to WWE, that takes away the passion of putting on good TV. Let's be honest. You take away when you're all about the money, and it is no. I mean, look at what Triple H. Triple H, he's the head of creative, right? He said "F you" to the fans. The internet isn't real. Fans need to F off and just watch. Don't critique. That spoke volumes. That spoke volumes. He's so used to people glazing him that when they were finally criticizing him, when they finally was standing up and saying, man, maybe this dude is not as good as I thought he was. Maybe we need to stop calling him Papa H. It's weird anyway. And he's still one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But that's weird as hell. I would never call him Papa H. No. But you had people calling him Papa H. Papa H is doing his thing, blah, blah, blah. Now that he started to get some pushback, that maybe he's not that good, he was feeling that pressure. So he told everybody, F you and just watch. And also come to these shows where we're charging $40,000 a ticket. You're paying more for something and you're getting less of something, right? Like, doesn't this sound familiar? It sounds a little bit like something that is on the screen right now. Paying a little bit more. You're getting really a little bit less. It's less consumer friendly. The customer doesn't matter. What the customer wants, it is what it is. So when I see things, even when I see things in the future, oh, WWE is hot right now. Really? Is it? It ain't hot right now. And I don't think it's ever going to be hot again. You got TKO involved now. It's all about the money now. You think wrestlers are just going to magically start to, work matches differently, throw some ring psychology in there, really make the matches interesting? You think they're going to try to worry about their character and develop their character and try to, develop a persona, something that people can either get behind or something that people are going to love to boo, something people are going to just have fun with, right? Not to boo you because they truly hate you, you know what I mean? But to boo you because, like, hey, you're the antagonist here. I don't think that these things are just going to magically flip and just become better one day. Like, it's done. Like, it is done. But I don't know, man. These are just my thoughts. And I had to make this video after the video that I just watched, because it's been several. It was just this one video in particular. I had to do this video. All of these ideas came out because it was like, man, I've been saying all of this, and now people are finally starting to see. It's like, man, like, the product is not good. People were saying wrestling was in a boom period when AEW came out, and it was like, oh, wrestling is cool again and it's fun again, and it's like, yeah, AEW was dope. I was watching it weekly, and I was watching every pay-per-view. But while AEW was good, WWE wasn't really good. And even when AEW started to do bad, WWE didn't get better. It's just that AEW was getting that bad. But I don't know, man. Listen, I will be that old man that says, get off my lawn. I don't care. I just know what I like out of wrestling. I know what I want out of wrestling. And I want characters back. I want people to provoke an emotion, right? I even listen to a lot of these podcasts, and I hear about, I try to listen to how they critique the show and what they want out of a match and what's good to them. And I'm like, you watched when I watched. How is this good for you? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Maybe I'm just not somebody that likes to lower my standards. If it was hot, I can only grade you by what you once were. I have to grade you by what you once were. And WWE is getting a big F right now. They're getting a big F right now. Don't get me started on the number of titles that both companies have. I mean, it's like Oprah is running these companies, man. Everybody's getting a belt. You can easily lose track on who's champ. I mean, does anybody really care about the women's Intercontinental Championship at this point? I remember back in the day with less titles, there was so much focus where you really did care about who was the European champ. You cared about who was the Intercontinental title holder, who was the WWF champ, who was tag team champs, who was the women's champ. They already don't really have like a huge women's roster, but now the women have like 4 or 5 titles. Like they need their own show and more of a roster if you're going to do that. They really kind of need to be separate from the men and completely if you're going to have that many titles for the women. And there's even too many titles for the men. It's a mess right now, man. It is a mess, but finally people are starting to see it. I've been making videos like this. I just haven't in a long time. It's just I had to make this video because it's like people now are finally starting to see. But what it took was the ticket sales. What it took was how bad WrestleMania was. And oh, it was bad. It's probably the worst WrestleMania that I personally have ever seen. And I didn't even want to watch it. And I was hoping to be pleasantly surprised. It sucked. But it is what it is, man. I know I sound like a big hater in this, man, but I really don't care. Like I said, I know what I want out of the things that I liked growing up and the things that I liked for so long. I know what I want out of it. It's just like with gaming. I know what I want. You know what I mean? But, you know, I listened to somebody today who said something that was very powerful, and it was a very simple line. He said, greed is taking over everything, and it really has. Are there still some good video games that come out? Absolutely. There's some awesome games that still come out. A lot of it, though, is from the indie developers. But for the most part, a lot of the stuff that we get, a lot of the stuff that we consume, when greed is involved, the passion is taken away to make us enjoy what is being given to us. And you're going to see it more and more with WWE. You take away the characters, you take away the gimmicks, you add a bunch of sponsorships to the ring mat and the turnbuckles. What do you have? What do you have? You just have a bunch of athletic people doing acrobatics. That's what you have. That's what you're left with. Doesn't that sound like UFC? And well, minus the acrobatics, but doesn't that sound like UFC and boxing? What I've always said. I've even put this in comment sections to other videos. They're turning wrestling into UFC and boxing. I've been saying this for a long time. Maybe this is another reason why the stories aren't as good. Maybe this is one of the reasons why the stories lack. They feel lazy. I've been saying for a long time. My buddy at work, he was like, no, they'll never do that. At this point, I don't know. But what I told him was, don't be shocked if WWE one day stops doing storylines, because right now, the focus is all about the acrobatic matches. I'm just saying. Let me know what you feel in the comment section, man. Appreciate you guys for watching. And it's your boy Soul Drum 86. I'm out. Peace.